It was one of the first beautiful days of the year in the picturesque city of Stuttgart. People flocked outdoors to enjoy the sun and spent their time in the Schlossgarten, an ideal spot for jogging, walking, and simply relaxing. This peaceful idyll was about to be shattered by a grim discovery that would cast a shadow over the city. In June 2014, the peaceful city of Stuttgart was rocked by a gruesome discovery that would come to be known as the Suitcase murders. It all began on an otherwise ordinary evening when passers-by, taking a stroll through the picturesque Schlossgarten, stumbled upon two large suitcases tucked behind a concrete wall along the railroad tracks near Felix Mendelssohn Bartholdyallee. The area, usually serene, was now filled with a foul odor emanating from the suitcases. Noticing bloodstains on the exterior, the alarmed pedestrians immediately notified the police. When the police arrived and opened the suitcases, they were met with a horrific sight: the dismembered bodies of a man and a woman. The brutality of the crime was immediately evident, and the investigation kicked into high gear. The forensic team worked meticulously to identify the victims and piece together the events that led to their tragic end. The victims were soon identified as a 50-year-old homeless Peter G. and a 47-year-old Sylvia C., who also lived on the streets. Both had been killed on the night of May 30, 2014. The police investigation into the Suitcase murder in Stuttgart became a high-profile case, demanding an exhaustive range of investigative techniques and significant resources. The discovery of the body in a suitcase, left at the edge of a city park, sparked an immediate and meticulous investigation. The initial response involved a comprehensive forensic examination of the crime scene, with experts gathering evidence from the suitcase and surrounding area. Key to the investigation was the collection of DNA samples from various surfaces within and around the suitcase. Forensic teams identified and analyzed DNA traces found on the suitcase itself. This included swabs from the interior lining, the handles, and any external surfaces that might have been touched or handled by the perpetrator. The analysis of these DNA samples was pivotal. Forensic scientists were able to extract a significant amount of genetic material, which was then compared to national and international databases to identify potential matches. The breakthrough in the case came when the DNA from the suitcase matched that of a known criminal from previous investigations. This crucial link provided investigators with a concrete lead. They cross-referenced this information with other evidence and quickly identified a person of interest who had been previously involved in similar criminal activities. The matching DNA not only linked the suspect to the suitcase but also helped confirm their presence at the crime scene. In addition to DNA evidence, the investigation included scrutinizing surveillance footage from nearby cameras, which captured the suspect in the vicinity around the time of the crime. This footage, combined with the DNA evidence, strengthened the case against the individual. Detectives also conducted thorough interviews with local residents and businesses to gather more context about the suspect's behavior and potential motives. The forensic pathologist's report provided additional context, detailing the cause of death and the condition of the victim's body, which aligned with the evidence gathered from the crime scene. This comprehensive approach allowed the police to construct a detailed timeline and understanding of the events leading up to and following the murder. Ultimately, the DNA evidence proved to be a decisive factor in solving the case. The identification of the suspect through genetic material found on the suitcase allowed the authorities to proceed with a focused investigation, leading to the suspect's apartment. When the police arrived at the suspect's apartment, their meticulous search revealed a series of critical clues that further solidified their case. The arrival of the officers was conducted with caution, as they were aware of the potential risks involved in apprehending a suspect connected to a violent crime. Upon entering the apartment, the team immediately began a systematic search for evidence that could corroborate their findings from the suitcase and confirm the suspect's involvement in the murder. One of the first things the investigators noticed was the presence of several items that appeared to be out of place or suspiciously matched the descriptions from the crime scene. For instance, in the living room, they found a variety of cleaning supplies that had been recently used, including industrial-grade disinfectants and cleaning cloths. The detectives collected these items for further analysis, suspecting they might have been used to remove or hide any traces of the crime. In the bedroom, the police discovered several personal belongings of the victim, including articles of clothing and a small, distinctive jewelry item that had been reported as missing. These items were carefully cataloged and compared against the descriptions provided by the victim's family and forensic teams. The presence of these belongings in the suspect's apartment not only provided a direct link to the victim, but also suggested that the suspect had significant access to or control over the victim's personal effects. Another crucial find was a partially burned document in the apartment's trash can, which, upon examination, revealed fragments of a receipt with the suspect's name on it. The receipt indicated a purchase of items consistent with those used to dispose of or clean up after a violent crime. This evidence was instrumental in connecting the suspect to the preparations and aftermath of the murder. Furthermore, forensic investigators collected various types of trace evidence, such as fibers and residues, from different surfaces in the apartment. These samples were analyzed for any potential match with the materials found in the suitcase and the victim's clothing. In particular, investigators noted that certain fibers from the suspect's clothing appeared to match those found on the victim, reinforcing the link between the suspect and the crime. The search also yielded digital evidence, including the suspect's electronic devices. The data from these devices was examined for communications or internet searches related to the crime. Notably, investigators found a series of disturbing online searches and messages that indicated premeditation and a potential motive for the crime. All these findings combined to provide a compelling case against the suspect. The evidence collected from the apartment played a crucial role in piecing together the suspect's involvement in the murder, leading to their arrest and further legal proceedings. The investigation soon focused on a 48-year-old man named Gunther H. known in the local homeless community. The suspect had developed a romantic interest in the 47-year-old woman, who was also part of the homeless community. Over time, he had taken her out on several occasions, hoping to foster a deeper relationship with her. His infatuation grew, and he began to envision a future together, despite the precariousness of their lives. On the night of the murders, he invited her to his apartment, hoping to take their relationship to the next level. He wanted to have sex with her, but when his advances were rejected, he became increasingly agitated and frustrated. At this critical moment, a 50-year-old man, another member of the homeless community, was also present in the suspect's apartment. This man, heavily intoxicated, had fallen asleep on the couch, oblivious to the escalating tension between the suspect and the woman. The suspect's anger and sense of betrayal intensified. He felt humiliated and rejected, emotions that quickly turned into a blinding rage. In a violent outburst, the suspect grabbed a knife and stabbed the woman multiple times. The ferocity of the attack was driven by his pent-up frustration and the shattering of his romantic fantasies. The woman, taken by surprise and unable to defend herself, succumbed to her injuries. The suspect, now in a state of heightened aggression, turned his attention to the sleeping man. Believing that the presence of the intoxicated man was another affront to his pride, the suspect decided to eliminate any witnesses to his crime. He seized a fire extinguisher and bludgeoned the man to death with it. The brutality of the attack left no doubt about his intent. He then panicked and placed the bodies in a suitcase and drove them far away from his flat to not be suspected. Nevertheless, this was an ill-considered and stupid action out of panic and led to his arrest. The trial of the suspect in the Stuttgart suitcase murder case drew a lot of public interest and became a key event in the legal process. During the trial, the prosecution showed strong evidence linking the defendant to the crime. This included DNA results, forensic reports, and testimonies from witnesses. As the trial went on, it became clear that the defendant was getting more and more caught up in lies. At first, the defendant tried to deny the charges, but as the trial progressed, his story fell apart. He gave conflicting statements and his explanations didn't hold up under scrutiny. The defense tried to argue that the defendant was wrongly accused, but the evidence against him was overwhelming. His attempts to make up false alibis and cover his tracks only made matters worse. The courtroom was tense as the defendant's lies were exposed. Witnesses, including forensic experts and police officers, provided detailed accounts that showed the defendant's story didn't match the facts. The emotional testimony from the victim's family added to the intensity of the trial. In the end, the jury found the defendant guilty of murder. The lies he told and the evidence against him played a big role in the verdict. He was sentenced to life in prison, which was seen as an important step toward justice for the victim and a confirmation of the thorough work done by the investigators. The trial highlighted the need for honesty and the effectiveness of the legal system in dealing with complex criminal cases. The Stuttgart suitcase murder case highlights the intense and often harrowing journey from crime scene to courtroom. From the initial discovery of the body to the unraveling of the suspect's lies, the case was a testament to the diligent work of law enforcement and forensic experts. The thorough investigation and the eventual conviction of the accused provided a measure of justice for the victim's family and showcased the crucial role of a detailed and methodical legal process. Violent crimes, such as this one, are deeply unsettling and have severe repercussions. They inflict significant emotional and psychological trauma on victims and their loved ones. The process of seeking justice for such acts is both challenging and crucial, as it helps to address the wrongs committed and provides some degree of closure for those affected. The case underscored the importance of a strong legal framework and the commitment of investigators to uncover the truth and hold perpetrators accountable. Each step in the investigation, from gathering evidence to presenting it in court, plays a critical role in achieving justice. As such, the resolution of this case serves as a reminder of the relentless pursuit of truth and accountability that is vital in addressing the devastating impact of violent crimes. Thank you for tuning into today's video. If you found this case as compelling as we did, don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with our latest content. Your support means a lot to us. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below with your thoughts. See you in the next video.